They thought I was just the help arriving in 30 minutes or less, another faceless driver at the service entrance. But the moment I saw my own baby photo on their $1 million gallery wall, smiling in the arms of a stranger, I froze. The delivery girl was holding the receipt, but that picture held the proof that someone had rewritten my life on paper. I was not just delivering dinner, I was staring at my own stolen history. My name is Ivy Lawson, and right now, I am 28 years old, running on 4 hours of sleep, and a breakfast consisting entirely of stale crusts and lukewarm coffee. My Honda Civic, a vehicle held together by duct tape and prayer, is making a sound like a dying lawnmower as I force it up the steep, winding driveway of Stonebridge Hall. This is the crown jewel of Willowcrest Estates, a place where the driveways are heated to melt the snow before it can offend the residents, and the security cameras probably have better resolution than my own eyesight. It is Thanksgiving Eve. While half of Ruston, Pennsylvania, is currently squeezing into cramped apartments to argue about politics or crowding into dive bars to toast the long weekend, I am here. I am working the shift that nobody wants, hauling catering trays and gourmet pizzas to people who will likely complain that the Parmesan is not fresh enough. I am the help that arrives in 30 minutes or less. I am the invisible girl with the insulated red bag. A ghost in a ball cap. The house looms ahead, a massive Georgian revival beast of stone and slate that looks more like a government building than a home. Every window is glowing with warm, golden light, casting long shadows across the manicured lawn that is probably worth more than my entire college tuition debt. I pull up to the main entrance, the gravel crunching loudly under my tires, but before I can even put the car in park, a man in a dark suit steps out from the shadows of the portico. He is not the owner. He holds himself with the stiff, exhausted posture of a man who manages other people's lives for a living. This is the house manager, and he looks at my car with a mixture of pity and disdain. He raises a hand, palm out. Stop. I roll down the window, letting the biting November chill rush into the cabin. Delivery for the Caraway residents, I say, trying to sound professional despite the fact that my heater is broken and I am wearing 3 layers of thermal shirts under my uniform polo. Side gate. He barks, cutting me off. He points a gloved finger toward a narrow, paved path that disappears around the corner of the garage. Service entrance is around the back. We do not have drivers at the front door when we are entertaining. Guests get nervous, as if I am going to mug them with a pepperoni special. I nod, swallowing the retort that is burning the back of my throat, and shift the Honda back into drive. I creep around the side of the mansion, parking next to a row of shiny black SUVs that make my car look like a piece of scrap metal. I grab the thermal bags, their handles digging into my palms, and trudge toward the service door. I ring the bell. It is a small, discreet buzzer, nothing like the chimes they probably have at the front. I wait. The cold is seeping through the soles of my sneakers. Finally, the door opens, and the same house manager stands there, looking annoyed that I've actually followed his instructions. "Wait in the mudroom," he commands, pointing to a small tiled area just inside the door. "I need to clear space on the warming racks. Do not wander." He disappears through a swinging door, leaving me alone in a room that is nicer than my entire apartment. It smells of lavender and expensive leather. There are coats hanging on hooks that cost more than I make in a year. I shift my weight, the pizza bags heavy in my arms, and that is when I see it. Directly across from where I'm standing, the door to the main hallway has been left slightly ajar. Through the gap, I can see a slice of the foyer. It is breathtaking. Black and white marble floors in a checkerboard pattern, a chandelier that drips crystal like frozen water, and a massive gallery wall stretching up the staircase. It is a wall of history, framed photos in gold and silver, arranged with geometric precision, weddings, graduations, black and white portraits of stern ancestors. I find myself staring, my eyes tracing the timeline of a family that has never known what it means to check a bank account balance before buying groceries. And then, my gaze locks on one frame. It is small, tucked between a large portrait of an older couple and a landscape painting of a shipyard. It is a close-up of a baby girl. I step closer to the gap in the door, ignoring the manager's order to stay put. The air leaves my lungs in a sudden, violent rush. The baby is wearing a yellow knit hat with a ridiculous, oversized pom-pom on top. She is wrapped in a white blanket with a delicate waffle weave pattern. She is smiling a gummy, toothless smile. Her head turns slightly to the right, and there, just behind her left ear, visible because the hat has slipped up slightly, is a birthmark. It is shaped exactly like a tiny, perfect crescent moon. My hand flies to my own neck, fingers tracing the skin behind my left ear. I know that shape. I know that exact curve. I have looked at it in the bathroom mirror every morning for 28 years. That is me. I blink, waiting for the image to shift, for the hallucination to end. It does not. I lean forward, squinting against the distance. Below the photo, there is a small brass plate screwed into the frame. The engraving is elegant and sharp. Harper, 6 months, Lila's little miracle. The world seems to tilt on its axis. The floor feels unsteady beneath my feet. Harper, my name is Ivy. I was adopted. My mother, Janet, told me I was 6 months old when she brought me home. She told me there was an accident. She told me my biological parents were gone. But the photo, I have that photo, not a copy of it, but a variation of it. In my shoebox of keepsakes back in my apartment above the laundromat, I have a picture of myself in that exact yellow hat, wrapped in that exact waffle weave blanket. The date stamped on the back of my photo is October 14th, 1996. I do the math in my head, my thoughts racing like a car with cut brakes. If the baby on the wall is 6 months old, the timeline fits, the hat fits, the birthmark fits. Why is my face hanging on a millionaire's wall? The sound of heels clicking on marble snaps me out of my trance. I jerk back into the mudroom, my heart hammering against my ribs like a trapped bird. A woman sweeps into the hallway view. She is wearing cream cashmere that looks soft enough to melt, and her hair is a perfect glossy blonde helmet. This must be Vivian Caraway. I have seen her face in the local society pages, usually cutting a ribbon or holding a champagne flute. She is on her phone, her back to me. She does not even look toward the service door. Honestly, Graham, it is ridiculous, she is saying, her voice tight with irritation. I hate it when people stare at the art like it is a museum. It is a home. We are trying to have a private evening. She pauses, listening to the person on the other end, and sighs. Yes. Well, just make sure the paperwork is ready for Monday. I am done waiting. She walks past the gap in the door, leaving the view clear again. I have seconds, maybe less. My hands are shaking so badly I almost drop the pizza bags. I fumble for my phone in my back pocket, sliding it out with sweaty palms. I have to be quick. I have to be silent. I hold the phone up, zooming in as far as the grainy camera will allow, and snap 3 rapid photos of the baby picture and the brass plate. Click, click, click. I shove the phone back into my pocket. Just as the swinging door to the kitchen bursts open, the house manager is back, looking more harried than before. Move, he says, gesturing to a stainless steel table. Stack them there, and be quick about it. I step forward, my legs feeling like lead. I am acting on autopilot. Unzip the bag, slide out the boxes, stack them neatly. Keep your head down. Do not scream. Do not ask why you are the girl in the gold frame. As I am stacking the last box, a young man wanders into the mudroom from the kitchen. He is wearing a golf polo that costs more than my car payments and holding a tumbler of scotch. This is Logan Caraway. I recognize the jawline, the arrogant set of the shoulders. He looks at me, then at the pizza, then laughs, a dry, humorless sound. Finally, he says, swirling his drink, I was beginning to think we'd have to eat the catering staff. He pulls a black credit card from his pocket and flicks it toward the house manager without even looking at him. Put it on the trust, Logan says, his voice dripping with boredom. Grandpa won't miss it. He doesn't even know what year it is. The house manager catches the card with practiced ease. Very good, sir. Logan leans against the doorframe, taking a sip of his drink. His eyes slide over me like I am a piece of furniture. I am nothing to him. I am just the mechanism by which carbohydrates arrive at his house. Make sure you tip her, Logan adds, turning to walk away. We don't want the peasants revolting on a holiday. He disappears back toward the party, his laughter trailing behind him. I stand there, frozen. The trust? Grandpa? He doesn't know what year it is. The house manager hands me a receipt to sign. I scribble something that looks vaguely like my name, my hand trembling. You can go, he says, dismissing me. I turn to leave, pushing open the heavy service door. On the wall right next to the exit, there is a smart home security tablet mounted at eye level. The screen is dark for a moment, and then it flashes to a screensaver. It is a logo, a stylized compass rose with gold lettering, Northbridge Heritage Trust, Caraway Family. I stare at it for 1 second, searing the words into my brain. Northbridge, Caraway. I push out into the cold night air. The wind hits my face, drying the sweat on my forehead, but I do not feel the chill. I feel a strange, burning heat in my chest. I get back into my Honda. The engine struggles to turn over, whining in protest. Before finally catching, I reverse out of the spot, my hands gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turn white. I drive down the long, winding driveway, past the manicured hedges and the stone lions that guard the gate. I merge onto the main road, the darkness of the rural highway swallowing the headlights. My mind is a chaotic storm. I replay the image, the yellow hat, the birthmark, the name Harper. Harper. I am Ivy. I have always been Ivy. Janet Lawson is my mother. She worked double shifts at a diner to buy me braces. She sat up with me when I had fevers. She is the only family I have ever known. But Janet did not have a marble foyer. Janet did not have a gallery wall. Janet had a shoebox and a story about a car accident that never quite made sense because there were no news clippings, no obituaries, nothing but a closed adoption file, and a silence that filled the room whenever I asked too many questions. I take a curve too fast. The tires screech against the asphalt, and the car drifts toward the shoulder. I jerk the wheel back, correcting just in time to avoid a ditch. My heart leaps into my throat. I slow down, forcing myself to breathe. In, out, in, out. The dash cam on my windshield blinks its steady red eye, recording the empty road ahead. In the silence of the car, I hear my own voice, barely a whisper, but loud enough for the microphone to catch. Why is my name on their wall? The question hangs in the air, heavy and dangerous. I cannot go home and tell Janet. Not yet. She is working tonight, standing on her feet at the diner, her back aching. If I tell her, it will break her, or worse, she will tell me the truth, and I am not sure I am ready to hear it from her. Not until I know what it means. And I cannot tell my coworkers at Rocket Slice. They would think I'm crazy. They would think I'm trying to scam a rich family, trying to write myself into a lottery win. I need to be sure. I need to be logical. I was studying structural engineering before the money ran out. I know how to look at a foundation. I know how to find the stress points. I am not just a delivery driver, not anymore. Tonight, I drove up that hill as Ivy Lawson, the girl who delivers pizza in 30 minutes or less. But as I drive down, watching the lights of the mansion fade in my rearview mirror, I know that person is gone. Someone rewrote my life. Someone took a baby named Harper and turned her into a ghost so they could hang a plaque on a wall and cash checks from a trust fund. Logan said his grandfather doesn't know what year it is. He said the old man won't miss the money. Well, he is about to miss something else. I reach over and touch the passenger seat, where my phone sits. The photo is there. The proof is there. I am not losing my mind. I am just waking up. And for the first time in 28 years, I am not just delivering the order. I am coming for the whole table. The apartment above the Suds and Duds laundromat has a very specific rhythm. During the day, it vibrates. It is a low, constant hum that travels up through the floorboards, a mechanical lullaby of 60 commercial washers and dryers spinning the dirt out of other people's clothes. You get used to the smell of industrial detergent and fabric softener. It seeps into the drywall, into the carpet, into your hair. For 28 years, that scent has been the smell of home. I park my Honda in the alleyway between the dumpster and the back staircase, killing the engine. The silence that follows is heavy. My shift is over, but my mind is still racing up that driveway at Stonebridge Hall. I walk up the 2 flights of metal stairs, the steps clanging under my sneakers. When I unlock the door, the apartment is dark, illuminated only by the street lamp outside filtering through the thin curtains. Janet is asleep. I can hear her soft snoring from the bedroom, a sound that used to annoy me when I was a teenager, but now just makes me feel a fierce, protective ache. Janet Lawson is not my biological mother. The paperwork says I was adopted at 6 months old. The story she told me, the one she repeated every time I asked about the people who made me, was simple and tragic. She said my mother died in a car accident on a slick highway. She said my father was not in the picture, a phrase that always felt like a door slamming shut. She said there was nobody else, just me and her against the world. I never doubted her. Janet is a waitress who has spent 30 years carrying heavy trays and smiling at rude customers. She is the kind of woman who stacks her bills on the kitchen counter in order of urgency: electricity first, then rent, then credit cards. She never hid the struggle from me. We were a team. She taught me how to stretch a pound of ground beef into 3 dinners and how to sew a button back on a coat so it never came off again. She never made me feel like a burden, even when I knew she was skipping lunch to pay for my field trips. I toss my keys on the counter and go straight to the closet in the hallway. It is jammed with winter coats, a vacuum cleaner that only works on Tuesdays, and a stack of plastic storage bins. I drag the bottom bin out, the plastic scraping against the linoleum. Inside is the archive of my life, my elementary school report cards, a ribbon from a 3rd-grade track meet, and a small, battered shoebox. I sit cross-legged on the floor, the linoleum cold through my jeans, and open the box. There it is. It is a single 4x6 photograph, glossy and slightly bent at the corner. I pick it up, my fingers trembling. The colors are fading, shifting toward magenta with age, but the image is clear: a baby, me. I am wearing a yellow knit hat with a massive pom-pom. I am wrapped in a white waffle weave blanket. I am smiling, looking slightly off camera, as if someone just shook a rattle to get my attention. I flip the photo over. On the back, in blue ink that has bled slightly into the paper, is a note written in shaky, unfamiliar handwriting. Harper, 3 months, October 14th, 1996. I stare at the name. Harper. Growing up, I was the kid who needed everything to make sense. While other girls were playing with dolls, I was organizing the pantry by food group. In middle school, I color-coded my group projects, assigning a specific neon highlighter to each team member so I could track their contributions. I did not just want to live in the world. I wanted to understand how it was built. I filled the margins of my spiral notebooks with floor plans. I drew dream houses, not castles, but functional, beautiful spaces where the light hit the breakfast nook at exactly 7 in the morning. I wanted to be an architect, or maybe an urban planner. I wanted to fix things. I wanted to take broken, chaotic spaces and make them whole. I was on my way, too. I got into the structural engineering program at the community college. I was acing my statics class, terrified but thrilled by the math of load-bearing walls. Then Janet fell. It was a patch of ice behind the diner. She slipped, taking out the trash, and herniated 2 discs in her lower back. The workers' compensation claim was denied because of a paperwork error, a missing signature, a missed deadline, some bureaucratic trapdoor that opened up and swallowed us whole. The medical bills did not trickle in. They flooded us. Ambulance fees, MRI copays, physical therapy sessions that insurance refused to cover. I watched Janet try to sleep sitting up in a chair because lying down hurt too much. I watched her cry silently over the checkbook. I did the only calculation that mattered. I dropped out. I took my tuition savings and paid the hospital collections agency. I took the full-time job at Rocket Slice because the tips were cash and I could pick up overtime whenever I wanted. I told myself it was temporary, just until she got back on her feet, just until we got ahead. That was 4 years ago. Now, I am the shift lead. I spend 12 hours a day driving a dented Honda through subdivisions I will never afford to live in. I built a secret system of Google Sheets on my phone to track gate codes, traffic patterns, and which houses tip at least 15%. I project manage the chaos of dinner rush for minimum wage plus tips, optimizing routes for drivers who are too high to read a map. I am a structural engineer delivering pepperoni to people who do not know my name. Tonight was typical. Thanksgiving Eve, the busiest night of the year. I drove up to houses in developments with names like Fox Hollow and Summit Ridge. I walked up driveways lined with expensive SUVs. I rang doorbells that played melodies. I handed over steaming boxes of pizza to men in cable-knit sweaters and women holding glasses of wine. They looked past me. They looked through me. "Keep the change, sweetie," they would say, handing me a $5 bill on a $100 order without making eye contact. Sweetie, not Ivy, not a person, just a hand extending from a uniform. The humiliation is quiet. It settles in your bones like the cold damp of a November night. You learn to make yourself small. You learn to be grateful for the crumbs. But tonight, looking at this photo in my hand, the gratitude is gone. It has been replaced by a cold, hard knot in my stomach. I stand up, clutching the photo, and walk to the kitchen table. I open my laptop. The screen is cracked in the corner, a spider web of fractured glass. But it still works. I connect to the neighbor's unsecured Wi-Fi, another small survival strategy, and open a browser. I type 3 words into the search bar. Edmund Carraway, Ruston, Pennsylvania. The results load instantly. Edmund Carraway, patriarch of the Carraway shipping dynasty, founder of the Northbridge Heritage Trust. A man whose net worth is estimated in the hundreds of millions. I click on the Images tab. There he is, an older man with steel gray hair and piercing blue eyes, standing at a podium. He looks stern but not unkind. In one photo, he is cutting a ribbon at a new wing of the public library. In another, he is shaking hands with the governor. I scroll down. I am looking for the tragedy. Every rich family has one. I find it in a scanned newspaper archive from 28 years ago. The headline is stark. Tragedy at Seafire claims Carraway heir and infant daughter. I click the link, my heart hammering against my ribs. The article is from the Ruston Gazette, dated January 1997. Lila Carraway, the only daughter of shipping magnate Edmund Carraway, is presumed dead after a devastating fire at the family's vacation estate in the Outer Banks. Authorities say the blaze, which occurred late Tuesday night, consumed the historic property entirely. Also believed to have perished is her 6-month-old daughter, Harper. Harper. I stop breathing. I read the line again. 6-month-old daughter, Harper. The article continues. Due to the intensity of the fire and the structural collapse, no remains have been recovered. The family has issued a statement asking for privacy during this unimaginable time. A memorial service will be held at St. Jude's Cathedral. I look at the date of the fire, January 1997. I look at the back of my photo, October 1996, 3 months before the fire. I look at my adoption papers, which I keep in the same plastic bin. I pull the folder out. The paper is yellowed. Date of placement, February 2nd, 1997. 2 weeks after the fire, I scan the adoption document. It is heavy with redactions. Black lines cross out the names of the biological parents. But there, at the bottom, is the name of the processing hospital where I was surrendered. Riverside General Hospital. My eyes dart back to the screen. I search for another article about the Carraways. I find a piece about Lila Carraway's pregnancy a year prior to the fire. Lila Carraway welcomed her daughter at Riverside General Hospital earlier this week. The room goes silent. The hum of the refrigerator seems to stop. The hospital is the same. The name is the same. The birth date matches. The photo matches. This is not a coincidence. A coincidence is running into an old teacher at the grocery store. A coincidence is 2 people wearing the same dress to a party. This is geometry. This is a blueprint where all the lines connect to form a structure that should not exist. If I am the baby in the photo, and I know, with a terrifying certainty, that I did not die in a fire. I was not an orphan. My mother did not die in a car accident. Or if she did, it wasn't the accident Janet was told about. I look at the photo of the mansion wall again, the one on my phone, the caption on the brass plate. Lila's little miracle. They think I am dead. Edmund Carraway thinks I am dead. But someone knew I wasn't. I think about the conversation I overheard in the pantry. Vivian, Logan, put it on the trust. Grandpa won't miss it. The presumed dead grandchild. Someone handed me to a social worker at Riverside General. Someone told a lie that erased my existence. Someone looked at a baby girl with a crescent-shaped birthmark and decided she was an inconvenience that needed to be removed. And then they let Janet Lawson, a woman with a heart of gold and an empty bank account, raise the heir to the Carraway fortune above a laundromat, struggling to pay for braces and school shoes while they drank scotch and laughed about how the old man doesn't know what year it is. I look around my kitchen. I see the peel and stick tiles I put down last year to cover the cracked linoleum. I see the stack of coupons on the fridge. I see Janet's back brace hanging on the back of a chair. I feel a heat rising in my chest that has nothing to do with the radiator. It starts in my stomach and spreads to my fingertips. It is rage. It is a clean, sharp, structural rage. It is the feeling of finding a crack in the foundation that is going to bring the whole house down. They stole my name. They stole my history. They stole the life I was supposed to have. But worse than that, they stole the life Janet was supposed to have. They let her break her back waiting tables to feed a child that they had thrown away like a catering receipt. I close the laptop. I put the photo back in the shoebox. But I do not put the box back in the closet. I leave it on the table. I am not going to tell Janet. Not yet. She would panic. She would think they are coming to take me away. She would think she did something wrong. I need to protect her. And the only way to protect her is to prove who I am. I am Ivy Lawson, the pizza delivery girl. I make $8 an hour plus tips. But I'm also Harper Carraway. And I am done delivering. I am coming to collect. Thanksgiving morning at Rocket Slice is not a holiday. It is a battlefield. The air inside the shop is thick with the smell of rising yeast and burnt cornmeal. And the phone lines are flashing like a police strobe. Every oven is running at 500 degrees, and the drivers are sprinting in and out the back door with insulated bags. Their faces slick with sweat. I am usually the one directing traffic, shouting out delivery times and rerouting drivers to avoid the parade traffic downtown. But today I am watching the ticket printer like a hawk. At 10 o'clock, it prints ticket number 402, 20 gourmet pies, truffle oil, prosciutto, figs, goat cheese. The total comes to over $600. The delivery address is Stonebridge Hall, Willowcrest Estates. My stomach does a slow, cold roll. I grab the ticket before anyone else can touch it. I will take this one, I say, ripping the paper from the machine. My manager, a guy named Steve who thinks a motivational speech involves yelling about cheese costs, looks at me with raised eyebrows. You sure? Ivy. That is a 3-trip load to the car. Plus, the rich folks on the hill usually stiff us on holidays. They think the gate code is the tip. I need the cash. I lie. Keeping my voice steady, my suspension is shot. Maybe they will feel generous. Steve shrugs. Your funeral. Get them out the door while they are hot. I load the back of my Honda until the rear window is blocked by a wall of red vinyl bags. The car smells overwhelmingly of garlic and expensive ham. I climb into the driver's seat, my hands gripping the wheel tight enough to hurt. I am not going up there for the tip. I am going back to the scene of the crime. The drive up to Willowcrest is a crawl. The iron gates of the estate are open today, but the driveway of Stonebridge Hall is a parking lot. It is jammed with Range Rovers, Porsches, and blacked-out Escalades. The lawn is lined with white tents for the overflow, and I can hear the faint sound of a string quartet playing something polite and soulless. I squeeze my battered Civic between a catering van and a shrub that looks like it gets better haircuts than I do. I cut the engine, grab the first stack of 5 pizzas, and head for the service entrance. The air is freezing, a sharp contrast to the heat radiating from the bags. I ring the buzzer. The door flies open instantly. It is the same house manager, looking even more stressed than he did last night. He is wearing an earpiece and holding a clipboard like a weapon. "You are late," he barks. Though I am 5 minutes early. Through the back, butler's pantry. Do not stop to chat with the caterers. They are on a tight schedule. He holds the door open, and I slip inside. The mudroom is chaotic today, filled with servers in black vests polishing silver trays. I keep my head down, cap pulled low, and move toward the butler's pantry. As I pass the hallway mirror, I slow down. The door to the foyer is wide open this time. The gallery wall is right there. I check the house manager's position. He is yelling at a florist about hydrangeas. I step quickly to the edge of the frame. I pull my phone out, aiming it not at the baby photo this time, but at the larger portrait hanging in the center. It is an oil painting, heavy and serious. A man and a woman standing in a garden. The brass plaque underneath catches the light. Edmund and Margaret Caraway, with daughter Lila, 1996. I snap the picture. The woman, Lila, looks hauntingly familiar. She has the same jawline I see when I wash my face. She has the same dark, serious eyes. I shove the phone back into my apron and hurry into the butler's pantry before anyone spots me. The pantry is a narrow, high-ceilinged room lined with glass cabinets full of crystal. It connects the kitchen to the dining room, acting as a sound buffer for the wealthy. But today, the swinging door leading into the main kitchen is not latched. It is propped open just a crack by a dropped linen napkin. I set the pizza bags down on the granite counter, my heart thumping in my throat. Voices drift through the gap. They are low, sharp, and distinct. I recognize the woman's voice instantly. "Vivian Caraway. I told you to have the florist move those lilies," she hisses. "And why is the pizza girl here again? I saw the name on the receipt." "Ivy." It makes my skin crawl. I freeze. My hand hovers over the zipper of the bag. "Oh, relax." "Viv." That is Logan's voice. Slurring slightly, arrogant. "It is a common name. It is a plant. You are reading into it. I am not reading into it." Vivian snaps. The baby's middle name was Ivy. Harper Ivy Caraway. Seeing that name on a greasy receipt in my kitchen on the day we are supposed to be celebrating makes me nauseous. It is bad luck. I stop breathing. Harper Ivy. Logan laughs. The sound of ice clinking against glass cutting through the tension. "There is no such thing as bad luck," he says. "Just bad lawyers. And we do not have those. Besides, the court agreed she is gone. No more surprise heirs popping up out of the ashes. The book is closed." A third voice joins the conversation. It is coming from a speakerphone sitting on the counter. It is male, smooth, and professional. Logan is right. "Vivian, this is Graham Walters. We are in the clear. I have the 9 o'clock slot at Crescent and Weller Notary on Monday morning. We are going to finalize the full power of attorney." I press my back against the cold cabinets, fumbling for my phone. I need to record this. My fingers feel like clumsy sausages as I swipe to the voice memo app. Graham continues, his voice cool and detached. "The judge signed off on the presumed dead grandchild petition years ago. The statute of limitations on contesting that finding has long since passed. And as for Edmund, I have reviewed the medical files you sent. We can easily argue he is mentally diminished enough for the power of attorney to stick without question." I hit the red record button. The timer starts counting. 0001, 0002. "It is a clean transfer," Graham says. "Once the Northbridge Heritage Trust is under your sole control, you can liquidate the shipyard holdings within 30 days. Edmund will not even know it happened. He barely knows what day of the week it is. He knows enough to be annoying." Vivian mutters. "He was asking about the old photo albums this morning. He asked where the picture of Harper went. I told him the cleaners broke it," Logan says. "He bought it. He buys everything." My blood runs cold. They are talking about erasing a person. They are talking about erasing me so they can steal a fortune from an old man they are gaslighting into dementia. I pretend to be busy organizing the pizza boxes. pulling out the receipts and stacking them, just in case someone walks in. But my eyes are glued to the phone screen, watching the waveform of their voices spike and dip. Suddenly, the swinging door pushes open. I shove the phone deep into my apron pocket, praying the microphone is not muffled by the fabric. Logan steps into the pantry. He looks flushed, his tie loosened. He stops when he sees me, a smirk spreading across his face. Well, he says, if it isn't the delivery girl. Lurking in the shadows, I am just checking the order. Sir, I say, forcing my voice to remain flat. I want to verify the count before I bring the rest in. He steps closer, invading my personal space. He smells of expensive scotch and arrogance. He reaches into the open pizza box I just unzipped, grabs a slice of prosciutto and fig, and folds it in half. Grease drips onto the polished floor. Relax, pizza girl, he says, chewing with his mouth open. You look like you are about to bolt. He swallows, wiping his hands on his pants. We are just discussing business, boring adult stuff. You wouldn't understand the complexities of high finance. I stare at his collar. I want to scream. I want to tell him I understand perfectly that he is a thief in a polo shirt. He leans in, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. You know, you should be grateful for people like us. The trust money trickles down. We buy the pizza. You get the crumbs. That is just how the oven works. He winks, then turns and kicks the door to the kitchen open with his foot. Bring the rest of the food, he calls back over his shoulder. And try not to drop anything. This floor is Italian marble. It is worth more than your life. He disappears. I stand there for 5 seconds, trembling. The recording is still running in my pocket. I grab the thermal bags. I do not bring the rest of the pizzas. I leave the 20 boxes right there on the counter, unpaid, unsigned. I do not care about the tip. I do not care about the job. I turn and walk out the service door, past the startled house manager, past the florists, past the chaos of the kitchen staff. I get into my Honda and lock the doors. My hands are shaking so badly it takes me 3 tries to get the key into the ignition. I drive down the hill, away from the music, away from the lights, away from the family that thinks I am Ash. I pull over into a gravel turnout halfway down the mountain. I kill the engine. The silence of the car is deafening. I pull my phone out. I stop the recording. I hit play. The baby's middle name was Ivy. Harper Ivy Caraway. The Wi-Fi in my apartment is like my bank account, spotty, unreliable, and usually empty when I need it most. So guys, after my shift ends, I do not go upstairs to sleep. Instead, I go downstairs to the suds and duds. It is 2 a.m. The laundromat is empty, save for a single dryer spinning a lonely pair of sneakers in the corner. Thump, thump, thump. The fluorescent lights buzz with a headache-inducing flicker, casting a sterile blue-white glow over the rows of washing machines. It is not a glamorous war room, but it is the only one I have. I claim the large folding table in the back, the one usually reserved for people separating their whites from their colors. I set up my workspace with the precision of the architect I used to want to be. On the left, my cracked laptop, plugged into the one working outlet near the vending machine. In the center, the original baby photo from my shoebox. On the right, the digital photos I took at the mansion, the gallery wall, the close-up of the baby in the yellow hat, the portrait of the couple, and the security tablet screen. I take a sip of the lukewarm energy drink I bought from the vending machine and crack my knuckles. It is time to stop reacting and start processing. I open a fresh incognito window. My first stop is the county property assessor's website. I need to know exactly who I'm dealing with. I type in the address, 1200 High Ridge Lane, Willow Crest Estates. The page loads slowly, spinning a little circle of death before populating the data. Owner of record Northbridge Heritage Trust. Trustee Edmund J. Caraway. Occupant Vivian Caraway. I stare at the screen. Vivian does not own the house. She is listed as an occupant, a tenant. I pull up the tax history. The property taxes are paid annually, not from a personal checking account, but from a corporate entity linked to the trust. This confirms what I heard in the pantry. Vivian and Logan are living like royalty. But they are living in a house of cards. If the trust cuts them off, they are out on the street. That explains the desperation. That explains the rush to get the power of attorney signed on Monday. They do not just want more money. They need to secure the source before the tap runs dry. I minimize that tab and open a new one. I need to understand the fire. I type Lila Caraway Fire Investigation, 1997, Outer Banks. There are dozens of articles, but most of them are fluff pieces written years later, lamenting the tragedy. I dig deeper, looking for contemporary reporting. I find a scanned PDF of a police report summary from a crime archivist's blog. Date of incident, January 21st, 1997. Location Caraway Summer Estate, Cape Hatteras, cause electrical fault in the nursery subpanel. Casualties: Lila Caraway, age 24. Harper Caraway, age 6 months. Notes: structural collapse prevented immediate recovery. Due to extreme heat and tidal erosion affecting the foundation, no identifiable remains were recovered. Victims declared presumed dead by coroner's inquest. I freeze. Presumed dead. That is the legal magic wand. Without a body, there is no death certificate, only a court order. A judge had to sign a piece of paper saying that, based on the evidence, it was highly likely we burned to death. I look at the date again. January 21st. I reach for my adoption folder, which I brought down with me. I open it to the intake form. It is heavily redacted. Black marker striking out the names of my biological parents. But the dates are untouched. Date of physical custody transfer, February 2nd, 1997, 12 days. There is exactly a 12-day gap between the fire that supposedly killed me and the day I was handed over to Janet Lawson. 12 days is enough time for burns to heal. 12 days is enough time for a bribe to clear. 12 days is enough time to drive a baby from North Carolina to Pennsylvania and drop her off at a hospital with no questions asked. I look at the adoption agency's notes. Child surrendered at Riverside General. No identifying information provided. Guardian claimed inability to care for infant due to sudden change in circumstances. I scan down to the signature line for the social worker. It is a scrawl, barely legible, but the printed name underneath is clear: Mrs. P. Gables. I switch back to the browser. I search for the social worker's name alongside the Caraway family. Nothing comes up on Google. I try the local library archives for Ruston. I search for P. Gables, Riverside General. I find an obituary from 2 years ago. Patricia Gables, former head of social services at Riverside General, passed away peacefully, survived by her husband. Donations to the Caraway Foundation suggested in lieu of flowers. My stomach drops. The social worker who processed my adoption off the books had her obituary linked to the very foundation that my grandfather runs. That is not a coincidence. That is a payroll trail. I feel a surge of nausea. This was not just an accident or a mix-up. This was an operation. Someone paid Patricia Gables to take a baby that was supposed to be dead and make her disappear into the foster system. They picked a struggling, honest waitress like Janet because she wouldn't ask questions, because she was too busy trying to survive to investigate where her miracle baby came from. I sit back, the plastic chair digging into my spine. The rhythmic thumping of the dryer in the corner sounds like a heartbeat. I need more. I need to know who else knew. I start digging into the darkest corners of the internet, the local gossip forums. I find a site called Ruston Underground, a message board that looks like it has not been updated since 2005. I search the archives for Caraway Baby. I find a thread from 8 years ago. The title is Urban Legends of Ruston. User NightShiftRN posted, "My aunt used to work at Riverside back in the 90s. She always swore that the Caraway kid didn't die in that fire. Said a private ambulance came in the back way 2 weeks later with a baby girl that looked just like the pictures. Said the head of social services handled it personally and wiped the admission log. Nobody believes her, but she says the family paid to make the kid go away because the daughter Lila wasn't married." I stare at the screen until my eyes burn. It fits. It all fits. Lila was young. Maybe she was rebellious. Maybe the fire was real. But I survived, and someone saw an opportunity. If Lila was dead, And the baby was dead. The line of succession broke. The money would not go to the infant heir. It would go back to the trust, to be managed by whoever was left. Vivian. I pull the earbuds from my pocket and plug them into my phone. I need to hear the recording again. I need to analyze it not as a victim, but as a structural engineer looking for stress fractures. I close my eyes and hit play. Vivian. I am not thrilled their pizza girl has the same name as the dead baby they had to certify. Logan. At least the court agreed she is gone. No more surprise heirs popping up. Graham, it is a clean transfer. Edmund is mentally diminished enough for the POA to stick. I replay that last part. Mentally diminished. I open a new tab and search for Edmund Caraway Gala 2024. I find a video on YouTube from a philanthropy dinner just last month. I put my headphones on and turn the volume up. Edmund is at the podium. He is holding a speech, but he is barely looking at it. He is speaking extemporaneously about the importance of vocational training for shipyard workers. We cannot build a future if we forget the hands that lay the keel. He says. His voice is strong. His eyes are sharp, scanning the room. He makes a joke about the mayor's tie. The audience laughs. I watch his hands. They are steady. I watch his eyes. They are clear. This is not a man who doesn't know what year it is. This is a man who is tired. Maybe a man who is grieving a loss that never heals. But he is not senile. Logan and Vivian are lying. They are isolating him. They are telling everyone he is losing his mind so that when they take over the money, nobody questions it. And if he asks about me, about Harper, they tell him I am dead. They tell him the photo broke. They gaslight him into silence. I look at the man in the video. He is my grandfather. He held me when I was a baby. He probably bought me that yellow hat, and he has no idea I am 5 miles away, folding laundry and delivering pepperoni pizzas. A cold, hard realization settles over me. If I go to the police now, what do I have? A photo. A recording obtained illegally in a private home. A forum post from an anonymous nurse. Vivian has expensive lawyers. Graham Walters probably plays golf with the district attorney. They would crush me. They would say I am a delusional stalker looking for a payout. They would bury me in legal fees before I even got a DNA test. And they might hurt Edmund. If they realize the dead baby is back, they might decide the diminished old man needs to have a tragic accident before he can rewrite his will. I cannot go through the front door. I cannot file a lawsuit. Not yet. I need Edmund. I need the one person who loved Lila Caraway enough to keep her memory alive on a gallery wall. I need to wake him up. I look down at my notebook. It is a grid of facts and dates, drawn with the straight lines of a drafting pencil. On a fresh page, I write a header in bold letters. Pizza Girl Heir underneath. I write the objective target Edmund Caraway. Obstacle Vivian. Logan. Graham, the firewall. Asset, the truth. I tap the pen against the paper. How do I get to a billionaire who lives in a fortress guarding him from the world I cannot drive up to the gate again? They will be watching. I cannot call the house. Vivian screens the calls. I zoom in on the photo of the security tablet I took at the service entrance. Northbridge Heritage Trust. I search for the trust's office. It is not at the mansion. It is downtown. Dockside Building B. Suite 400. I check the hours. It is closed for the holiday weekend. But the Caraway Foundation has a website. I click the contact page. It lists a general inquiry email and a phone number for donor relations. Wait, I zoom in on the photo of the document I saw in the pantry, the one I accidentally captured in the background of my selfie with the pizza boxes. The resolution is terrible, but I can make out a letterhead. From the desk of Edmund Caraway. Direct line extension 404. It is an internal extension at the foundation office. If he is the workaholic the articles say he is, if he is the man who built a shipyard from nothing, he does not take Thanksgiving off. He might not be at the mansion with the vultures. He might be at the one place where he feels useful. Or, at the very least, he checks his messages. I write down the plan. Step 1. Contact Edmund without Vivian. Step 2. Present the evidence. Step 3. Secure DNA. Step 4. Burn them down. I look at the clock on the wall. It is 3:30 in the morning. I am exhausted. My eyes feel like they are filled with sand, but my mind is crystal clear. I pack up my laptop. I put the photos back in the folder. I fold up the notebook and slide it into my backpack. I stand up and walk to the glass door of the laundromat. Outside, the street is quiet. Rustin is asleep. The rich people in Willowcrest are sleeping in their silk sheets, dreaming of the money they are going to steal on Monday. Let them sleep. I unlock my car. I toss the bag in the passenger seat. I am not just a driver anymore. I am an architect, and I just finished the blueprints for their destruction. I whisper to the empty car, testing the sound of it. Hello, grandfather. I start the engine. It is time to make a call. I sit in the driver's seat of my car, parked in the darkest corner of the laundromat lot, the engine idling just to keep the heater running. My phone is plugged into the dashboard, the screen glowing with the pixelated image of the document I snapped in the butler's pantry. I pinch and zoom until the image distorts, trying to read the fine print in the header. It is blurry, but legible. Caraway Foundation Office, Dockside Building B, Donor Relations, 555-0122. I look at the clock on the dashboard. It is 4 in the morning on Thanksgiving Day. No rational person is in an office right now, but I'm not looking for a rational person. I am looking for a mistake. I am looking for a loophole. I download a free calling app that scrambles my number, masking my identity. My thumb hovers over the dial button. My heart is doing that painful, heavy thudding against my ribs again. If I do this, there is no going back to being just the pizza girl. I press call. I expect a voicemail. I expect a smooth corporate recording telling me to leave a message during normal business hours. Instead, an automated system picks up. Welcome to the Caraway Foundation. For grants, press 1. For scholarships, press 2. To access the staff directory, press 9. I press 9. Please enter the extension number. I do not have an extension number. I just have a guess. I type in 101. Invalid extension. I try 102. Invalid. I close my eyes and picture the layout of an office. The boss is never the first number. The boss is usually at the end of the hall. I try 404. The number I saw on the letterhead. It rings. It rings 4 times. 5 times. I'm about to hang up when the line clicks open. Caraway Foundation. A male voice says. He sounds exhausted. His voice thick with the kind of fatigue that comes from staring at spreadsheets under fluorescent lights, while the rest of the world is eating turkey. I freeze. I did not actually think anyone would answer. Hello, the voice says. Sharper this time. Is this a robocall? Because I am really not in the mood to renew my car warranty, I grip the phone tighter. Don't hang up, I say. My voice comes out scratchy. I clear my throat. Please, I need you to deliver a message to Mr. Edmund Caraway. The man sighs. It sounds like a long, weary exhale of smoke. Look, Mr. Caraway is with his family. It is a holiday. Whatever grant proposal you are trying to fast-track, it can wait until Monday. It's not a proposal, I say, the words rushing out before I can second-guess them. Tell him his granddaughter Harper is alive. Silence. The line goes completely dead, save for the faint static of the connection. Tell him she is alive. I repeat, my voice shaking. Tell him she delivers pizza to Stonebridge Hall, and tell him she has the other half of the photo. The silence stretches for 10 seconds. I can hear the man typing something in the background. Who is this? He asks finally. His tone has shifted. The annoyance is gone, replaced by a guarded, icy professionalism. My name is Ivy Lawson, I say. My birth date is October 14th, 1996. I hear the typing stop. I am not promising anything. The man says quietly, Mr. Caraway is difficult to reach. But if what you are saying matters to him, he will know what to do. He hangs up. I stare at the phone. The screen goes black. I feel ridiculous. I feel like I just shouted into a void. I drive home. I do not sleep. I sit on the edge of my bed in the apartment above the laundromat, watching the sun come up over the gray rooftops of Ruston. I wait. 2 hours pass. Then 3. At 7:15 in the morning, my phone buzzes. It is a blocked number. I pick it up on the first ring. Hello, Ms. Lawson. The voice is deep, gravelly, and unmistakable. It is the voice from the YouTube video. It is the voice of the man who built a shipping empire from a single tugboat. This is Edmund Carraway, he says. I stop breathing. I believe, he continues, his voice calm and terrifyingly clear, that you just knocked over the chessboard. I open my mouth to speak, but nothing comes out. My associate tells me you made a claim. He says, a very dangerous claim. Before we proceed, I am going to ask you 3 questions. If you lie to me, I will hang up, and you will never hear from me again. Do you understand? Yes, I whisper. Question 1, he says. There was a song, a lullaby. My daughter, Lila, used to hum it. She didn't know all the words, so she made up her own melody for the bridge. He hums a few bars. It is a low, mournful tune, something old and folk-sounding. My stomach drops. I know that tune. I have heard it 1,000 times. It is on the B-side of a battered cassette tape Janet used to play in her old station wagon when I was a kid. She said it was in the bag the social worker gave her, tucked into the folds of the blanket. She called it the sleepy song. I finish the melody for him. I hum the bridge, the exact way Janet played it, with the weird, lilting upbeat at the end that never quite fit the rest of the song. There is a pause on the line, a sharp intake of breath. Question 2, he says, his voice slightly less steady. The birthmark. Where is it behind the left ear? I say instantly, shaped like a crescent moon. Question 3. He hesitates. I can hear the age in his voice now. The tremor of a man who is afraid to hope. The photo, he says. The original. The one Lila kept in the silver frame on her nightstand. What is written on the back, I close my eyes. I can see the shaky blue ink on the back of the photo sitting on my kitchen table. Harper, I say. 3 months. Lila's little miracle. The silence on the other end of the line is profound. It lasts so long I think the call has dropped. Then, I hear a sound I did not expect. A match being struck. The exhale of smoke. Meet me, Edmund says. Where I ask. Not the house, he says. Vivian has ears in the walls. Somewhere she would never be caught dead in a cardigan. There is a diner off Interstate 80. I suggest. Joe's Stop. It is open 24 hours. Nobody goes there on Thanksgiving morning except truckers. 45 minutes, he says. Come alone. The line clicks dead. I change my clothes. I take off my rocket slice uniform and put on a thick gray sweater and jeans. I put the photo in my pocket. I drive to the diner, my hands gripping the wheel at 10 and 2. Joe's Stop is a fluorescent lit box of chrome and grease located next to a truck weigh station. The air inside smells of burnt bacon and diesel fuel. I take a booth in the back corner, facing the door. 10 minutes later, a car pulls into the lot. I expect a limousine. I expect a driver in a cap. I expect a security detail. Instead, a dark blue Ford sedan pulls up. It is 5 years old, dusty, and nondescript. The driver's door opens, and an old man steps out. He is wearing a navy wool peacoat and a newsboy cap pulled low. He is tall, his posture straight as a steel beam. He walks toward the diner not with the shuffle of a senile invalid, but with the purposeful stride of a man who has walked shipyard docks his entire life. He enters the diner, scanning the room, his eyes piercing. Intelligent blue eyes lock onto mine. He walks over and slides into the booth opposite me. He does not smile. He does not offer a hand. He just looks at me. He looks at my forehead, my chin, my nose. He is searching for ghosts. You look like her, he says softly, around the eyes. You have Margaret's chin, though, my wife's chin, stubborn. He signals the waitress and orders black coffee. When she leaves, the mask drops completely. The confused old man act is gone. In his place is a titan of industry who looks ready to go to war. I thought you were... I start, then trail off. Senile, he finishes, a dry smile touching his lips. mentally diminished. That is the phrase Graham likes to use in his filings. He leans forward, wrapping his hands around the mug the waitress sets down. I have been playing a role, Ivy, for 2 years. I have been the forgetful grandfather. I mix up names. I ask about dead relatives. I pretend to lose my wallet. Why, I ask? Because you cannot see the sharks until there is blood in the water, he says. I needed to know how far they would go. I needed to know if Vivian and Logan were just entitled, or if they were predators. He takes a sip of the coffee and grimaces. I got my answer last week, he says. When they started drafting the power of attorney documents without consulting me, they think I am a signature away from being a vegetable. But the fire, I say. The article said you identified, that you accepted we were dead. He shakes his head slowly. I never accepted it. The night of the fire. I was in London on business. By the time I got back, the house was ash. The local coroner was a man named Dr. Albright. He signed the death certificates before the embers were even cold. Presumed dead. No DNA, no dental records, just a signature. He looks out the window at the passing trucks. Albright retired 3 months later, bought a villa in Tuscany. A man on a county coroner's salary does not buy villas in Tuscany. I felt it, he whispers, tapping his chest. A grandfather knows. I knew 2 bodies did not burn in that room. I hired private investigators, but the trail was scrubbed clean. Records at the hospital were missing. The social worker, Mrs. Gables, stonewalled everyone. He looks back at me. I thought I was crazy. I thought maybe grief had finally broken me. So I stopped fighting. I let them think I was broken. I reach into my pocket. My hand is trembling. I pull out the photo. I slide it across the scratched Formica table. He looks down at it. His breath catches in his throat. He reaches into his own coat pocket and pulls out a worn leather wallet. From the billfold, he extracts a photograph. He places it next to mine. They are identical. The same yellow hat, the same waffle weave blanket, the same date stamped on the back. His hand moves to cover mine. His skin is papery and cool, but his grip is strong. We sit there for a long moment. 2 strangers connected by blood and a 28-year-old crime, staring at the proof of a life that was stolen. We do not say the words. I cannot call him grandfather yet. It feels too big. And he does not call me Harper. He respects the woman sitting in front of him too much to overwrite her identity in an instant. The Northbridge Heritage Trust, he says, his voice thickening with emotion, was not built to buy sports cars for Logan. It was built to fund pensions for the men who broke their backs in my shipyards. It was built to give scholarships to kids in this town who have nothing. It builds housing. It fixes schools. His eyes harden. Vivian sees it as a piggy bank. She wants to liquidate the assets. She wants to sell the land the shipyard worker housing sits on to developers for condos. She wants to strip it bare. He leans in closer. I can stop the power of attorney, he says. I can walk into that notary office on Monday and prove I am sane, but that only stops them for now. It does not punish them for what they did to you. It does not punish them for stealing 28 years of my life. He looks at me, and I see a challenge in his eyes. Do you want to help me stop them, he asks. Not just stop them. Do you want to end them? I look at this man. I think about Janet, washing dishes to pay for my textbooks. I think about the cold humiliation of the service entrance. I think about the wine cellar they locked me in. No, wait, they haven't locked me in yet. That is coming. But I think about the way Logan looked at me in the pantry, like I was trash. I feel a shift inside me. The fear is gone. The shock is gone. What is left is the cold, hard logic of a project manager who has just identified the critical path to completion. Yes, I say. My voice is steady. But we do not do it with a scene. We do not scream at them in the foyer. I lean forward, matching his intensity. We do it clean. I say, we let them think they have won. We let them walk into the trap. We build a case so airtight that not even Graham Walters can wiggle out of it. Edmund Carraway smiles. It is a shark's smile. You sound like your mother, he says. She was always better at strategy than I was. He reaches for the check. but I put my hand on it. I've got this, I say. I picked up an extra shift. He looks at me, surprised, and then he laughs. A genuine, deep laugh that makes the trucker in the next booth look over. "All right, Ivy," he says. "You buy the coffee. I will buy the lawyers. We have work to do." Edmund left me at the diner with a handshake that felt like a contract and a warning that felt like a threat. "Do not poke the bear. Ivy," he had said, his eyes dark under the brim of his cap. "If you confront Vivian now, she will go to ground. She will shred documents. She will bury the digital trail so deep not even the FBI will find it. We need them arrogant. We need them to think they are untouchable until the moment the handcuffs click." He promised to mobilize his attorney, a woman named Monica Reyes. First thing Friday morning, he told me to go home, keep my head down, and survive Thanksgiving. It sounded simple, but when you are holding a grenade in your hand, it is very hard to stand still and wait for someone else to pull the pin. I go back to Rocket Slice. The rush has quieted down to a steady simmer. I am folding pizza boxes in the back, my hands moving on autopilot, but my mind is miles away, replaying the conversation in the pantry. Then, the phone rings. Steve, my manager, answers it. He listens for a moment, frowning, and then looks over the counter at me. "Ivy," he calls out, "it is the Caraway place again. The lady specifically asked for you." My stomach drops. She says she wants the girl with the dark braid. Steve says, looking confused, "She says the last order was messed up and she wants you to bring a replacement personally. Says she will pay triple cash if you are there in 20 minutes. I freeze. Triple cash. A specific request. It is a setup. I know it is a setup. Vivian Caraway does not eat pizza, and she certainly does not call dive shops to correct orders personally. She has assistants for that. I should say no. I should tell Steve I'm sick. I should walk out the back door and drive until I hit the state line. But then I think about the NDA. Graham mentioned. I think about the clean transfer happening on Monday. If I don't go, they might get suspicious. If I disappear, they might accelerate their timeline. Edmund needs until Friday. I need to buy him time. I will take it, I say. I grab the thermal bag. Though there is no pizza inside, just an empty box I folded to look legitimate. I walk to my car. My hands are shaking, but my mind is strangely clear. I pull out my phone and type a text to Edmund. I attach a photo of the order ticket. Going back to Stonebridge. She requested me. I smell a rat. I wait. The reply comes 30 seconds later. One word. Careful. The drive up to Willowcrest feels different this time. The sun has set, and the estate is bathed in aggressive, architectural lighting. The shadows of the trees stretch across the road like grasping fingers. I pull up to the main gate. It opens before I even punch in the code. They are expecting me. I drive up the winding path, but instead of heading to the service entrance, I stop at the front circle. The massive oak front doors are already opening. Vivian Caraway stands in the doorway. She is not wearing the cashmere from earlier. She is wearing a black silk dress that looks like armor. She is holding a glass of wine, and her smile is too wide. It stretches her face in a way that does not reach her eyes. "Ivy," she calls out, her voice pitching high and sweet. "Thank you so much for coming back. I felt terrible about the mix-up earlier. We really believe in supporting hard-working young women in this community." She steps aside, gesturing for me to enter. "Please, come in. Just for a moment. I have your cash right here. But you must let me give you a quick drink, a sparkling water, to say thank you." I step into the foyer. The heat of the house hits me, smelling of cinnamon and expensive floral arrangements. The marble floor gleams under the chandelier. I glance at the gallery wall. The baby photo is still there. My photo. Vivian catches my look. Her smile tightens at the corners. "This way," she says, guiding me not to the living room, but to the kitchen. The kitchen is vast, a cathedral of white marble and stainless steel. It is empty of staff now. The caterers are gone. The house is strangely quiet. On the massive center island, there is no pizza. There is no cash. There is a single manila envelope and a neat stack of papers. Vivian walks around the island and rests her hand on the stack. Actually, Ivy, she says, her voice dropping the sugary act and settling into a cool, flat tone. We are not here for pizza. We are here to help you. Help me, I ask, keeping my distance. Logan told me you seemed confused earlier. She says, he said you were lurking in the pantry, listening to private conversations, misinterpreting things. She slides the papers toward me. We understand that life is hard. Ivy. We know about your mother's back injury. We know about the debts. It must be very tempting to look at a family like ours and imagine connections, to imagine a way out. I stare at her. She thinks she can buy me. I pick this up. She says, it is a standard non-disclosure agreement. Very simple. It says that you acknowledge you have no relation to the Caraway family. It says you promise never to contact Edmund Caraway or any employee of the Northbridge Trust. And it says that you agree that anything you thought you heard today was a misunderstanding. She pauses for effect. In exchange, upon signature, you will receive a check for $25,000. $25,000. It is a life-changing amount of money for a delivery driver. It would pay off Janet's medical bills. It would fix my car. But I look at the papers. I step closer and flip open the cover page. I scan the legal jargon. It is not just an NDA. It is a trap. The undersigned, Ivy Lawson, admits to making threatening and delusional claims of kinship. The undersigned agrees to seek psychiatric counseling for obsessive fixation. The undersigned acknowledges that any future contact will be considered harassment. My blood runs cold. If I sign this, I am not just taking money. I am signing a confession. I am handing them a legal document that says I am crazy. If I ever try to claim my identity later, they will pull this out and say, look, she admitted she was delusional years ago. She is a stalker. I look up at Vivian. Her eyes are predatory. I cannot sign this. I say, Vivian's face hardens. The mask dissolves completely. It is not a request. Ivy, she says, it is an exit strategy. You should take it. I take a step back. I am leaving. I turn around, and my heart slams into my ribs. Logan is standing in the doorway. He is leaning against the frame, arms crossed, blocking the exit. He is not holding a drink this time. He looks bored, but there is a tension in his shoulders that screams violence. I don't think you are leaving, Logan says. Not while you are this agitated. I am not agitated, I say, my voice trembling slightly despite my best efforts. I just want to go. You are clearly unwell, Vivian says from behind me. You are confused. You are making scenes. She picks up her phone and taps the screen. We cannot let you drive in this state. It wouldn't be responsible. Logan pushes off the doorframe. He takes a step toward me. I think you need a timeout, he says. A quiet place to calm down and think about your options. Maybe rethink that signature. He reaches for my arm. I flinch back. But he is faster. His hand clamps around my bicep. It is not a gentle grip. It is hard, bruising. Let go of me, I say, panic flaring in my chest. Don't make this difficult. Pizza girl. He sneers close to my ear. They guide me, drag me, really past the kitchen island. I dig my heels into the marble, but Logan is strong, and Vivian is right behind me. Her hand on my back, pushing, they shove me through a heavy oak door at the back of the kitchen. A flight of stone steps leads down into darkness. Downstairs, Logan says. We have a nice, climate-controlled room for you. They march me down the stairs. The air gets colder with every step. At the bottom, there's a corridor lined with steel doors. This is not a basement. It is a bunker. Logan opens the second door on the left. It is a wine cellar. The room is lined floor to ceiling with wooden racks holding thousands of dollars of vintage wine. The air is frigid, kept at a perfect 55 degrees. There is no furniture except for a flimsy wooden crate and a single stool in the corner. Get in, Logan says. I try to twist away, to run back up the stairs, but he shoves me. Hard. I stumble into the room, catching myself on a wine rack. A bottle rattles ominously. The heavy steel door slams shut behind me. I hear the mechanical thunk of a deadbolt sliding home. Then, a second click, an electronic lock. Hey, I scream, pounding my fist against the metal. Let me out. This is kidnapping. Silence. Then, the lights go out. I am plunged into absolute, suffocating darkness. The cold air bites at my skin instantly. I stand there, breathing hard, my pulse roaring in my ears. I am trapped. I am underground. I am in a box. But it is not pitch black. In the upper corner of the room, above the door, a tiny red light blinks. Blink, blink, blink. I freeze. I know that light. It is the standby indicator of a Wi-Fi security camera. A nanny cam. They are watching me. Edmund's voice echoes in my head, cutting through the panic. Greed makes people sloppy. Cameras cut both ways. I realize the play. They did not just lock me in here to scare me. They want footage. They want a video of Ivy Lawson, the stalker, screaming and pounding on the door. They want me to break a bottle. They want me to sound unhinged. If I scream, if I threaten them, they will have audio evidence to back up the delusional claims in the NDA. They will show it to the police. Look, officer, she broke into our home. We had to lock her in the cellar for our own safety. Just look at how violent she is. I force my breath to slow down. In through the nose, out through the mouth. I clamp my hand over my own mouth to stifle a sob. I will not give them the show. I move slowly in the dark, feeling my way along the wall until I find the corner furthest from the camera's blind spot. It is freezing. My thin rocket slice polo is doing nothing to stop the chill. I reach into the front pocket of my hoodie. My phone is still there. I pull it out, shielding the screen with my body so the glow does not give me away to the camera lens. I have one bar of signal. The thick stone walls are killing the reception. I open the voice memo app again. I lie down on the floor, curling into a ball near the door, where the gap between the steel and the concrete floor is widest. Sound travels. I set the phone face down on the concrete. I whisper, my lips barely moving. My name is Ivy Lawson. The date is Thursday, November 28th. The time is 7:42 post-meridium. I am being held against my will at 1200 High Ridge Lane. The door is locked from the outside. I wait. For a long time. There is only the hum of the refrigeration unit. Then, I hear it. Voices. They are coming through the ventilation duct overhead. The metal grate acts like a primitive amplifier. It is Vivian. She must be in the kitchen directly above me. A small complication, she is saying. Her voice is tinny but audible. The delivery girl. We have her downstairs. There is a pause. She is on the speakerphone again. No, Graham, don't worry. She says, we will keep her safe until the documents are signed. We just need her to cool off. If she makes a scene, we have the camera running. We will say she threatened us. We will say she broke in. I clench my fists until my nails dig into my palms. Say she threatened us. Logan's voice floats down. Louder. Closer to the vent. She is obviously unwell. He laughs. Poor thing. Did you see her face? She actually thought she had leverage. I want to scream. I want to pick up a bottle of their precious vintage Cabernet and smash it against the wall. I want to tear the door off its hinges, but I don't. I stare at that blinking red eye in the corner. You want a show, I think. I will give you a statue. I crawl over to the wooden crate in the center of the room. I sit down. I cross my legs. I place my hands on my knees. I lift my chin. I look straight into the darkness where I know the lens is. I am calm. I am terrifyingly calm. I pull my phone into my lap, hidden by the darkness and the angle of my body. I open my text messages. I type one message to Edmund. I attach my current location pin. Cellar, lock, camera on me. I hit send. The progress bar crawls. The signal is weak. Sending. Sending. Delivered. I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. Now I wait. The cold is seeping into my bones. My fingers are numb, but my mind is on fire. They locked the pizza girl in the cellar because they thought I was powerless. They thought I was just a nuisance they could pay off or scare off. They forgot one thing. I am a structural engineer. And when you are stuck in a collapsed building, you do not scream and use up your oxygen. You wait for the rescue crew, and you tap on the pipes so they know exactly where to dig. I tap my finger rhythmically against the side of the crate. Tap, tap, tap. I am still here, and I am the most dangerous thing in this house. Time dissolves in the dark. I measure the passing hours, not by a clock, but by the mechanical hum of the cooling unit cycling on and off. Every 20 minutes, the fans whir to life, blowing frigid air over the racks of vintage Bordeaux and over me. Huddled on a crate in the corner, I doze in fits and starts. My sleep is shallow, punctuated by the sounds of the house above. I hear the muffled thump of bass from the sound system, the clatter of heels on hardwood, the distant, distorted laughter of people drinking wine that costs more than my car. Slowly, the house goes quiet. The music stops. The footsteps fade. I am shivering uncontrollably now. My teeth are chattering so hard my jaw aches. I keep my phone tucked against my chest, preserving the battery and the warmth, praying the recording saved. Near dawn, the lock clicks. I stiffen, sliding off the crate and pressing my back against the wine rack, grabbing a heavy bottle of Pinot Noir by the neck just in case. The door cracks open. A slice of yellow hallway light cuts across the floor, blinding me for a second. It is Logan. He sways slightly in the doorway, holding a plastic bottle of water. He reeks of stale bourbon and expensive cologne. He does not step inside. He just tosses the water bottle onto the floor. It rolls toward my feet, hitting my sneaker with a hollow thud. "Drink up," he mutters, his words slurring together. "Sign the papers later and we will forget all this happened. You are making this harder than it needs to be." He steps back and slams the heavy steel door. I hear the latch click. I wait for the second sound, the heavy, distinct thunk of the deadbolt sliding home. It never comes. I hold my breath. I can hear his footsteps retreating down the hall, heavy and uneven. In his hangover haze, or maybe just in his arrogance, he simply turned the knob lock. He forgot the security bolt. I stare at the door in the darkness. The red light of the camera is still blinking above me, but I do not care anymore. I wait. I force myself to wait until the house is completely dead. At 6 a.m, a low rumble vibrates through the floor. It is the garage door opening directly above the wine cellar. I hear the heavy engine of a luxury SUV start up, followed by the crunch of gravel as it pulls away. That has to be Graham or the caterers leaving. The rumble fades. Silence returns. I stand up. My legs are stiff, my muscles screaming in protest. I walk to the door. I reach for the handle. My hand is trembling. Sweat slick on my palm despite the cold. I turn it. It gives. I pull, and the heavy steel door swings inward with a quiet groan. I step out into the utility hallway. The air here is warmer, smelling of laundry detergent and dust. I am out. I do not run immediately. I listen. The silence is heavy. I slip my shoes off. I cannot risk the squeak of rubber soles on tile. I sprint barefoot through the lower corridor, up the stone steps, and pause at the door to the kitchen. I crack it open an inch. The kitchen is empty. The counters are wiped clean, the island gleaming in the gray morning light filtering through the windows. I slip inside, moving like a ghost. I grab my sneakers from the mudroom where I kicked them off yesterday, shoving my feet into them without tying the laces. I bypass the front door. Too risky. I head for the side service entrance, the one the house manager guards like a bulldog. It is locked from the inside with a simple thumb turn. I unlock it. I push it open. The morning air hits me like a slap in the face. It is freezing, damp, and gray, but it smells like freedom. I run. I sprint past the garbage cans, past the manicured hedges, keeping low. I reach my Honda, parked in the shadows near the catering vans. I fumble for my keys, drop them in the gravel, snatch them up, and jam the key into the lock. I throw myself into the driver's seat and lock the doors. I do not start the engine yet. I check my phone. There is a text message from a blocked number. It came in at 3 in the morning, while I was freezing in the dark. Summit Crest Hotel, penthouse, go now. I look at the timestamp, 3 hours ago. Edmund must have known. I start the car. I do not turn on the headlights until I'm halfway down the driveway, well past the gate sensors. I drive like a fugitive. I do not go back to my apartment. If they find me missing, that is the first place they will look. 10 minutes later, I pull into the valet circle of the Summit Crest Hotel. It is the tallest building in Ruston, a tower of blue glass that dominates the skyline. It is the kind of place where Logan probably brings dates to impress them. My dented Civic, with its faded rocket-slice topper still stuck to the roof, looks wildly out of place between a Bentley and a Tesla. A valet in a crisp red uniform steps forward, looking confused. I am checking in, I say, jumping out of the car. I toss him the keys. Keep it close. I stride through the lobby. I look like a wreck. My hair is coming out of its braid. My uniform is wrinkled, and I have dark circles under my eyes. But I walk with purpose. I get in the elevator and press the button for the 47th floor. My ears pop as the car shoots upward. The doors open directly into the suite. I step out, and the first thing I see is the view. Floor-to-ceiling windows wrap around the room, offering a panoramic view of the river and the shipyard cranes in the distance. The second thing I see is the war room. The massive glass dining table is covered in equipment. There are 3 laptops open, a portable scanner, stacks of legal pads, and a tangle of charging cables. Edmund Carraway is standing by the window, looking out at the city. When he hears the elevator, he turns. His face is gray with worry, but when he sees me, his shoulders drop 2 inches. "You are out," he says. "It is not a question. It is a prayer." "I am out," I say. "Logan forgot the deadbolt." A woman sitting at the table stands up. She's in her late 30s, wearing a sharp navy suit that looks like it has not seen a wrinkle in its life. Her hair is pulled back in a severe, efficient bun. She looks like a weapon. "Ivy Lawson," she asks. "Yes, I am Monica Reyes," she says, extending a hand. "I am Mr. Carraway's attorney. Sit down. You look like you are about to fall over." She does not treat me like a victim. She treats me like a key witness who has just arrived at the safe house. She guides me to a chair and immediately places a steaming mug of black coffee in my hand. Then she drapes a heavy wool blanket over my shoulders. "Drink," she commands. "Then give me the phone." I hand her my phone. She plugs it into one of the laptops with a USB cable. Edmund sits across from me. He looks older than he did at the diner. The night has been long for him, too. We filed the emergency motion at 4 in the morning. He says, "While you were in that cellar, Monica petitioned the court for a temporary asset freeze on the Northbridge Heritage Trust. We flagged the accounts for suspected elder abuse and fraud. It is a temporary stopgap," Monica adds, her fingers flying across her keyboard. "It prevents them from moving any liquid cash until a hearing, but it won't stop the power of attorney transfer on Monday unless we have hard proof of criminal intent." She hits a key. A progress bar appears on the screen. "I am pulling your audio files now," she says, "and the location metadata." She renames the file on the screen, Sellerproof So1.4a. I watch the waveform appear. That jagged line is my voice whispering in the dark. It is Vivian's voice sneering about keeping me safe. It is Logan laughing. "We have it," I say. "We have them on tape admitting to false imprisonment. That is a felony," Monica says calmly. "But we want more than a felony. We want to dismantle the entire structure. We want to prove they didn't just lock you up. We want to prove they have been systematically defrauding the estate for years." She opens another window on her laptop. It displays a complex digital image of a signature. "This came in an hour ago," Monica says. "I have a friend at the State Crime Lab, Aidan Cole. He is a forensic document specialist. I sent him the digital file of the power of attorney document that Vivian's consultant, Graham, submitted to the bank last week." She points to the screen. The top image is Edmund's signature from his driver's license. The bottom one is the signature on the power of attorney. To the naked eye, they look identical. Edmund says, "I almost believed I signed it myself and forgot. But look here." Monica says, zooming in until the ink lines look like roads. See these micro tremors? And here, the uniform pressure of the stroke. She looks at me. Aiden says it is a trace forgery. Someone used a stylus and a high-resolution scan of a legitimate signature to trace it onto the digital tablet. It is too perfect. No human signs their name exactly the same way twice. The software flagged it as 99% probable forgery. So we have them. I say, the caffeine's starting to kick in. We have the forgery. We have the kidnapping audio. We can go to the police right now. We could. Edmund says, and the police would arrest them. But Vivian has expensive lawyers. She would claim the recording was taken illegally. She would claim the forgery was a clerical error by Graham. She would drag this out for years while the shipyard workers lose their pensions. He leans forward. I do not want a settlement. Ivy, I want a confession. I want them to say it to my face while the tape is rolling. Monica pulls a sheet of hotel stationery toward her. She uncaps a pen. Here is the plan, she says. She draws a circle in the center of the page. The trap. We let Vivian think you are scared, Monica says. We let her think her intimidation tactics worked. I nod. She thinks I am still locked in the cellar. When she finds out I'm gone, she will panic. Exactly, Edmund says. And panic makes people irrational. Monica continues writing. Step 1. The lure. You are going to text her, Monica says. You are going to tell her you escaped. But you are terrified. You are going to tell her that Edmund contacted you and brought you here to the penthouse to talk. But why would she come here, I ask? Because you are going to tell her that I am ready to sign. Edmund says quietly, you are going to tell her that I want a family meeting, that I want to smooth things over before Monday. He looks at me. You are the bait. Ivy. You are going to tell her that you have had a change of heart, that you just want this to be over, that you will disappear if they just let you go. They will come running, I say, realizing the brilliance of it. They will come to secure the signature. They will come to make sure I keep my mouth shut. Step 2. The recording. This suite is wired, Monica says. She gestures to a flower arrangement on the sideboard and a smoke detector on the ceiling. Audio and video, high definition. We will catch every word they say. Step 3. The ambush. We get them to admit the plan. Edmund says. We get them to brag about the forgery. We get them to confirm that they know exactly who you are. And then I ask. Then we walk into that notary office on Monday morning. Monica says, closing her laptop with a snap. But we don't walk in alone. We walk in with the district attorney and a mountain of evidence. I sit back in the chair. The adrenaline is fading, replaced by a deep, bone-weary exhaustion. But beneath the tiredness, there is a fire burning. Go take a shower, Edmund says gently. There is a robe in the bathroom. Wash the cellar off you. We have a few hours before we bait the hook. I stand up. My legs feel heavy, but steady. I go into the bathroom. It is bigger than my entire kitchen. I turn the shower on as hot as it will go. I scrub the smell of mildew and old wine from my skin. I wash the hairspray out of my braid. When I come out, wrapped in a thick white terry cloth robe, I feel like a new person. I am clean. I am warm. I walk back out to the main room. Monica is on the phone, speaking in low, rapid-fire legal terms. Edmund is reviewing a document. I walk over to the minibar. It is stocked with rows of tiny liquor bottles and a bottle of champagne with a price tag of $200. I look at the champagne. It looks like celebration. It looks like victory. I reach past it and grab a plastic bottle of still water. I crack the seal. The sound is sharp in the quiet room. Monica looks up from her phone. She sees the water in my hand. She nods, a small, tight smile appearing on her face. She knows. This isn't a party. We haven't won yet. I take a long drink of water. I walk over to the table and sit down next to my grandfather. I am ready. I say, give me the phone. Let's invite them to lunch. The phone in my hand feels like a detonator. It is a cheap, prepaid burner that Monica pulled from a box of supplies. A stark contrast to the cracked smartphone I usually carry. It has a new number, a clean slate, and one purpose. I sit on the edge of the plush velvet sofa in the penthouse living room. The morning sun is streaming through the floor-to-ceiling windows, illuminating the dust motes dancing in the air. But I feel cold. I am about to invite the devil to lunch. Monica nods at me from the dining table. She has swapped her blazer for a softer cardigan, loosening her hair just enough to look less like a shark in a suit and more like a concerned friend. "Do it," she says. "Keep it desperate." I type the message. I channel the girl I was yesterday, the girl shivering in a wine cellar, the girl who was terrified of losing her job, the girl who thought she was powerless. It is Ivy. I am sorry. I panicked. Edmund called me. He booked me into Summit Crest Penthouse to talk as a family. I do not know what to do. I hit send. My thumb hovers over the screen. I count the seconds. 1, 2, 3. The reply comes so fast it makes me jump. 3 dancing dots appear instantly. Vivian was not just waiting. She was hovering. Where exactly? Which floor? There is no greeting. No. Are you okay? No. We were worried. Just a demand for coordinates. The mask of maternal concern has slipped, revealing the naked, frantic curiosity underneath. She is terrified that I am with Edmund. She is terrified that the narrative she has carefully constructed for 20 years is unraveling in a high-rise hotel room. I type back, keeping the tone casual, naive, penthouse level, floor 47. He said you and Logan and your lawyer should come up for a pre-Thanksgiving lunch. He wants us all together before Monday. I watch the screen. Silence for a full minute. I can practically hear the gears grinding in her head. She is weighing the risk. Is it a trap? Or is it an opportunity to corner Edmund, medicate him, and force the signature before the holiday weekend is over? Finally, the reply comes. We are on our way. Do not say anything else to him until we get there. We need to protect him. Ivy. Remember that. I look up at Monica. They are coming. I say. Monica picks up her own phone. She does not text. She opens a secure line. They are inbound. She says into the receiver, 2 targets plus the lawyer. Estimated time of arrival is 20 minutes. Hold positions in suite 4702. Do not engage unless I give the signal. She hangs up and looks at me. The district attorney's economic crimes unit has 2 plainclothes investigators in the room next door. She explains, the hotel security team has reconfigured the hallway cameras. They will track them from the valet stand to the elevator. She stands up and walks over to the dining table. Now, she says, we set the stage. We clear the legal pads and the scanners. We hide the evidence of our war room inside the master bedroom, where Edmund is currently waiting. We replace the clutter with a spread that looks like a pathetic attempt at a peace offering, a platter of deli sandwiches from room service, 4 bottles of still water, no wine, no crystal, just basic sustenance. I walk over to the corner and pick up my red insulated pizza bag. It is battered, stained with grease, and smells faintly of pepperoni. I place it conspicuously on a chair near the window. It is a prop. It is a reminder of who they think I am. It is a symbol of the class divide they are so comfortable exploiting. Monica moves around the room with a device that looks like a garage door opener. She points it at the smoke detector. A tiny green light blinks once, then vanishes. She points it at the floral centerpiece on the table. Another blink. She points it at a discreet plastic dome in the corner of the ceiling. We are live, she says. Audio and video are streaming to the cloud and to the investigators next door. She walks into the bedroom and comes back out a moment later. She is holding a fountain pen. It looks like a standard. Expensive Mont Blanc, the kind Edmund has used for decades. She hands it to me. Put this at the head of the table, she says. I look at it. It feels heavy. Microtransmitter, she says. It captures audio within a 20-foot radius, crystal clear, even if they whisper. I place the pen on the glass table, right where Edmund would sit. We sit down to wait. I am wearing a clean pair of jeans and a sweater. Monica had a staffer buy for me, but I feel like I am wearing a costume. I wrap my hands around a water bottle to stop them from shaking. At 1 o'clock sharp, The penthouse chime sounds. It is a polite, melodious ding-dong that belies the violence of the people standing on the other side. I stand up. I take a deep breath. "Showtime," Monica whispers. I walk to the door. I unlock it and pull it open. They are standing in a phalanx. Vivian is in front, wearing a camel hair coat and oversized sunglasses that she immediately pushes up onto her head. Logan is behind her, wearing a blazer over a t-shirt, looking like he just rolled out of a club VIP section. Graham Walters is bringing up the rear, clutching a leather portfolio to his chest like a shield. Their eyes do not land on me. They skip right over my head, devouring the room behind me. They are looking for Edmund. They are looking for threats. They are looking for the view. Ivy. Vivian cries out. She surges forward, enveloping me in a hug that smells of expensive floral perfume and anxiety. Her arms are stiff. It is a performance for an audience she thinks is just me. "Oh, you poor thing," she coos, pulling back and holding me at arm's length. Her nails dig slightly into my shoulders. "We were so worried about you, running off like that without shoes." In the cold, she lowers her voice to a conspiratorial whisper. "We only wanted to keep you safe," she says. "You know that, right?" Emotions were running so high last night. We just wanted everyone to calm down. I step back, breaking her grip. I look down at the floor, playing the part of the overwhelmed, frightened girl. "I know," I mumble. It was dark." Logan pushes past us, whistling low as he walks into the main living area. He heads straight for the window, looking down at the city of Ruston spread out like a map below us. 47th floor, he says, tapping the glass. "Do you have any idea what the nightly rate is for this suite?" He turns to me, a smirk playing on his lips. Grandpa really rolled out the red carpet for the pizza girl. He looks around the room, taking in the sandwiches, the water, and the pizza bag on the chair. He laughs, though the catering leaves something to be desired. Graham is less relaxed. He stands by the door, his eyes darting around the room. He is scanning the ceiling, the corners, the lamps. He is looking for red recording lights. He is looking for wires. He walks a slow circle around the room, his gaze lingering on the smoke detector. I hold my breath. But the light is taped over inside the casing. There is nothing to see. He relaxes slightly. "Where is Edmund?" Vivian asks, her voice sharpening. "You said he was here." "He is in the back," I say, gesturing vaguely toward the hallway that leads to the bedrooms. "He said he needed to rest for a moment." He said he wanted us to start without him. He wants to talk when he wakes up. Vivian exchanges a look with Graham, a look of relief. He is sleeping. He is weak. "Who is this?" Graham asks, pointing a manicured finger at Monica, who is sitting quietly at the table with her laptop closed. "This is Monica," I say. "She is a friend from work. She gave me a ride. I didn't want to be alone." Monica offers a shy, polite smile. "Hi," she says softly. "I can leave if this is a private family matter." "No, stay," Vivian says quickly. She wants a witness. She wants someone to see how reasonable, how generous she is being. "It is fine. Sit." We all sit around the glass table. Vivian takes the seat to my right. Logan sprawls in the chair opposite me. Graham sits next to Vivian, placing his portfolio on the table. Vivian reaches for a water bottle, twists the cap off, and takes a sip. She composes her face into a mask of tragic forbearance. "So, Ivy," she begins, "I am glad we have this chance to talk, without the drama of yesterday." She leans forward. "You need to understand something about Edmund. We love him very much, but he is not the man he used to be." She taps her temple sadly. "The decline has been slow, but it is accelerating. He forgets basic things. He confuses names. He gets agitated and paranoid. That is why we have to be so careful with who he talks to." Logan chimes in, grabbing a sandwich and inspecting the contents with disdain. He thinks it is 1996 half the time. Logan says, "He wanders around the house looking for people who have been dead for 30 years. It is sad. Really." Vivian nods. Exactly. That is why this power of attorney is so critical. It is not about controlling him, it is about protecting his legacy. We need to make sure his bills are paid. We need to make sure the foundation isn't drained by bad influences. She glances at me significantly. I try to look confused. I try to look like a girl who barely finished community college and knows nothing about finance. So the trust just moves into your name, I ask. All of it. Vivian smiles. A patronizing, tight-lipped expression. It is an administrative change, she says, to streamline operations. Logan snorts. He tosses the sandwich crust onto the platter. Streamline, he mocks. That is one word for it. He leans back, clasping his hands behind his head. The arrogance is radiating off him in waves. He cannot help himself. He feels safe here, high above the city, with a scared delivery girl and a silent friend. It is 9 digits. Ivy, he says, his eyes gleaming. When you count the waterfront properties and the shipyard land, it is an empire. And come Monday, it is ours to manage. No more begging Grandpa for an allowance. Logan, Graham warns softly. Oh, let him talk, I say, widening my eyes. I don't understand how you can just take it. I thought there were rules. I thought because of the baby. I let the sentence hang there. Logan laughs. It is a cruel, sharp sound. The baby, he says, shaking his head. You are still stuck on that. He leans forward, his elbows on the glass table, right next to the fountain pen. That is the genius of good estate planning. Pizza girl, you don't need DNA. You just need a judge who wants to make his tea time. He looks at Graham, grinning. Tell her, Graham. Tell her how we fixed the glitch. Graham looks uncomfortable, but he is too vain to let Logan take all the credit. It was a complex legal maneuver, Graham says smoothly. We petitioned the court to certify the death in absentia. I look at Logan, but if the baby didn't die, I ask. I mean, really? Logan rolls his eyes. It doesn't matter what really happened, he says. It matters what is on paper. He points a finger at me. We erased that tragedy with the baby on paper. Poof, gone. Monica speaks up for the first time. Her voice is quiet, confused. I am sorry, she says, erased. What exactly on paper? Logan looks at her, annoyed that the audience is speaking, but he loves the sound of his own voice too much to stop. He wants to shock the civilians. He wants to show off how the world really works. The dead granddaughter, he says, enunciating every word. He picks up a water bottle and gestures with it. The court stamped it. No heirs. Clean line of succession. That is what Graham here got us. That is why Monday matters. He takes a sip of water, looking satisfied. Edmund is gone. Mentally speaking. He continues. The granddaughter is legally dead. The board is cleared. He looks at me, his eyes cold and dead. So you see, Ivy, you can scream all you want about birthmarks and photos, but in the eyes of the law, you are a ghost, and ghosts don't inherit shipyards. I look at the fountain pen. I look at the smoke detector. I look at Monica. She gives me a tiny, almost imperceptible nod. We have it. The confession. The intent. The conspiracy. I look back at Logan. You are right, I say softly. Ghosts don't inherit shipyards. I sit up straighter in my chair. The fear drops off my face like a discarded mask. But living granddaughters do. Logan frowns. He looks at me. Really looks at me. For the first time since he walked in. He sees the change in my posture. He sees the steel in my eyes. What did you say? He asks. Before I can answer. The chime of the penthouse door sounds again. It is not a guest. It is the rest of the trap. Vivian turns around, startled. Who is that? She demands. I smile. It is a smile I learned from Janet Lawson, the smile you give a customer right before you kick them out for being rude. I think that is the person you erased. I say. I stand up, and I think he has a few questions about the paperwork. The chime of the penthouse doorbell sounds like a judge's gavel striking wood. It cuts through the air immediately after Logan finishes his sentence about ghosts. He freezes, his mouth still half open, his arrogant grin twitching into confusion. He looks at the door, then at me, then back at the door. For the first time in 24 hours, my heart rate does not spike. It slows down. It settles into a steady, heavy rhythm. Thump, thump, thump. This is the beat we rehearsed. I stand up. My legs feel solid, rooted to the floor. I walk past Vivian, who is twisting her diamond ring nervously. I walk past Graham, who is staring at the smoke detector with renewed suspicion. I unlock the door. I pull it open. Edmund Carraway stands in the hallway. He is not the frail, confused old man they described over sandwiches. He is not wearing a cardigan or slippers. He is wearing a charcoal suit that costs more than my entire education. His shirt is crisp white, his tie a deep navy silk. He stands with his shoulders back, his spine straight as a mast. But it is his eyes that stop the room cold. They are clear, they are sharp. They are burning with a blue fire that could weld steel. He looks at me, gives a single, imperceptible nod, and steps across the threshold. The silence in the penthouse is absolute. It punches the air out of Vivian and Logan like a silent explosion. Vivian stands up so fast her chair tips backward, crashing onto the hardwood floor. Edmund, she stammers. Her voice is a high, thin wire. You were not supposed to travel. The doctor said your blood pressure. She trails off as Edmund walks past her without a glance. He moves to the head of the glass table, the seat of power. He looks at the empty chair where Logan has left his plate of half-eaten crusts. Logan has gone ghost white. He looks like he is going to be sick. His eyes flick frantically to Graham, begging the consultant to explain away the physics of the situation. Fix this. His eyes scream. You said he was senile. You said he was done. Edmund pulls the chair out and sits. He adjusts his cuffs. Then, he reaches out and picks up the fountain pen I placed there earlier. He holds it for a second, looking at the gold nib, and then sets it down with a deliberate click. So, he says, his voice is low, but it carries to every corner of the room. Tell me again about my delusions. He looks at Vivian. And tell me about this clean line of succession. I would like to hear it directly. Vivian's face crumples. She rushes into her script, but the words are coming out all wrong. She is improvising, and she is terrified. Daddy, she says, breathless, moving toward him with her hands outstretched. You are confused. We were just explaining things to this poor girl. She is emotional. She has been making wild claims, and we were trying to protect you. She gestures at me, her hand shaking. She is unstable. Edmund, we found her lurking in the pantry yesterday. She thinks she is family. It is sad. Really, the power of attorney was just a safety net. Just to make sure your bills get paid so you do not have to worry. She forces a laugh. It sounds like glass breaking. You know how you get with paperwork lately. You forget things. We just wanted to help. Edmund listens. He does not blink. He waits until she runs out of air. Is that so, he asks? He turns to Monica. Ms. Reyes, if you would be so kind. Monica opens her laptop. She does not look like a polite friend from work anymore. She looks like an executioner. She types a quick command and hits enter. The large wall-mounted screen at the far end of the room flickers to life. Two images appear side by side, projected in high definition. On the left is a signature. It is bold, flowing, with a distinctive loop on the C. It is labeled Edmund Carraway. Official state ID exemplar. On the right is another signature. It looks identical to the naked eye. It is labeled POA document, submitted by Graham Walters, Nov 24. Monica stands up. She walks to the screen, holding a laser pointer. A red dot appears on the right-hand signature. This morning, the State Forensic Laboratory analyzed the digital file of the power of attorney document you submitted to the bank. Monica says, her voice is cool, professional, delivering the facts like a weather report. She circles a tiny, jagged section of the signature on the right. This is not ink, she says, and it is not a natural digital stylus stroke. She looks at Graham. Mr. Aidan Cole, the state's leading forensic document specialist, ran a pressure analysis. A human hand varies pressure when writing. Heavy on the downstroke, light on the upstroke. This signature. She taps the screen. Zero pressure variance. It is a flat image. It is a high-resolution scan of a legitimate signature that was traced onto the digital tablet. The software flagged it immediately. She turns back to the room. It is a 100% mismatch to Edmund's verified biometrics. In the state of Pennsylvania, that is a Class B felony forgery. Graham leaps to his feet. His leather portfolio slides off his lap and hits the floor. This is preposterous, he sputters. His smooth consultant veneer is cracking. There must be a clerical error, a glitch in the software. These analysts are overzealous. It is standard estate copying practice to use digital stamps for Monica cuts him off. She does not argue. She just hits the spacebar on her laptop. The seller-proof WO1 audio file begins to play. The sound fills the penthouse. It is jarring. The room is full of sunlight and expensive furniture, but the speakers pump out the cold, hollow acoustic of a wine cellar. The sound of the refrigeration unit. Then, my voice. My name is Ivy Lawson. The date is Thursday, November 28th. The time is 7:42 post-meridiem. Vivian freezes. Her hands are halfway to her mouth. The door is locked from the outside. Then, through the speakers, comes the sound of the ventilation duct. It is muffled, but unmistakable. We have a small complication. The delivery girl. It is Vivian's voice. Crystal clear. High-pitched and annoyed. We will keep her safe until the documents are signed. If she makes a scene, we will say she threatened us. Poor thing is obviously unwell. Vivian squeezes her eyes shut. She looks like she has been slapped. Then, the laughter. Logan's laughter. Once the trust is in your name, who cares? The judge stamped the dead baby already. Logan's face in real time collapses. The arrogant smirk dissolves into pure terror. He looks at the speakers as if they are possessed. He hears his own voice, mocking the law, mocking the dead, stripping away his own defense. Edmund sits motionless. He listens to every second of it. He listens to his daughter and grandson conspiring to imprison a young woman. He listens to them laughing about his mental state. The recording ends with the sound of me tapping on the crate. Tap, tap, tap. Monica stops the playback. The silence that follows is heavy enough to crush the table. Edmund stands up. He moves slowly, not because he is frail, but because he is containing a rage so massive it threatens to tear the room apart. He walks around the table until he is standing directly behind Logan. Logan does not dare to turn around. He is shaking. You said the judge stamped the dead baby, Edmund says softly. He places a hand on the back of Logan's chair. Logan flinches. You thought you could erase a human being with a piece of paper. You thought you could lock her in the dark and wait for me to die. Edmund walks over to me. He stands beside me. His presence a shield. That dead baby is sitting at this table. He says, his voice rises, shaking the glass. You locked my living granddaughter in a cellar like stolen wine so you could gut the fund I built for shipyard families. He looks at Vivian. You did not just steal my money. Vivian, you stole 28 years. You looked me in the eye when I was grieving, when I was desperate for answers, and you let me believe she was Ash. Vivian makes a sound like a wounded animal. Her eyes are wild, darting from Edmund to the screen to the door. She is trapped. The narrative she built for decades has collapsed in 5 minutes. She snaps. It is a primal, desperate break. She screams, a high, tearing sound, and lunges across the table. She is not aiming for me. She is aiming for the laptop. You cannot do this, she screeches, clawing at the air. That is illegal spying. Those were private family conversations. You entrapped us. She knocks a water bottle over. It spills across the glass table, soaking the legal pads. She is reaching for the keyboard, desperate to delete the file, to stop the voice, to smash the proof. Give it to me, she screams. I flinch back, but Monica does not move. She simply pulls the laptop out of reach. Before Vivian can scramble over the table, the penthouse door opens. There is no chime this time. The electronic lock disengages with a sharp clack. 2 men and a woman step into the room. They are wearing plainclothes, windbreakers, and tactical pants. But the badges hanging around their necks are gold and official. They are followed by the hotel's director of security. The woman in front, Investigator Renee Marsh, steps forward. Her face is stone. "Ma'am," she shouts. Vivian freezes, her hand outstretched. Halfway across the table, she is panting, her hair wild, her mascara smudged. "Ma'am, for everyone's safety, I am going to ask you to take your seat," Investigator Marsh says. Her tone is level, but her hand is resting near her hip. Vivian looks at the investigator. She looks at the badge. State Economic Crimes Unit. She slowly lowers her hand. She sinks back into her chair, shrinking into her coat. Logan does not move. He is staring at the table, watching the water drip from the spilled bottle onto the expensive rug. Drip, drip, drip. Graham Walters is trying to edge toward the door, his eyes fixed on the exit sign. Investigator Marsh signals to her partner, who steps in front of the door, blocking Graham's path. "Nobody is leaving," the partner says. Edmund looks at them. He looks at the family he raised, the people he trusted, the people who tried to bury me. He turns to me. He reaches out and takes my hand. His grip is warm. "It is over," he says. I look at Vivian. She is crying now. Silent. Ugly sobs. But I feel nothing for her. The fear is gone. The anger is gone. All that is left is the work. I squeeze Edmund's hand back. "Not yet," I say. "We still have to go to the notary." Monica opens a fresh file on her laptop. Investigator Marsh walks to the head of the table. "Vivian Caraway, Logan Caraway, Graham Walters," she says. "You are being detained for questioning regarding conspiracy to commit wire fraud, forgery, and false imprisonment." She pulls a pair of handcuffs from her belt. The metallic sound rings through the room. "Please stand up and place your hands behind your back." Logan stands up slowly. He looks at me one last time. There is no arrogance left, just the terrified look of a child who realizes the game is over. "I didn't know," he whispers. "I just did what she told me." I look at him. "I know." I say, "That is just how the oven works." I turn away as the cuffs click shut. I walk to the window and look out at the city. The river is winding through Ruston, gray and steady. The shipyard cranes are silhouettes against the sky. My city, my family, my job. I am not delivering anymore. I am home. The silence in the penthouse is absolute, broken only by the ragged breathing of the woman in the camel hair coat who realizes the walls are closing in. Vivian remains frozen halfway across the table, her hand still reaching for the laptop that holds her destruction. Investigator Renee Marsh does not shout. She does not draw a weapon. She simply stands there, radiating the calm, terrifying authority of the state. "Mrs. Caraway," Investigator Marsh says, her voice level. "At 4 o'clock this morning, a Superior Court judge granted an emergency asset freeze on all accounts tied to the Northbridge Heritage Trust." She pauses, letting the words land. "Furthermore, the order extends to the personal accounts of Vivian Caraway and Logan Caraway, pending a full investigation into elder financial abuse, wire fraud, and conspiracy." Logan sputters. He steps forward, his face flushing a deep, angry red. "This is overreach," he snaps, though his voice cracks in the middle of the word. "This is a private family matter. You cannot just freeze our assets based on the word of a pizza delivery girl. We have rights." Investigator Marsh turns her gaze to him. It is a look that could strip paint. "We are not freezing them based on her word, sir," she says. "We are freezing them based on the forged power of attorney document you attempted to file. We are freezing them based on the sworn affidavit regarding the petition to declare a living child presumed dead." She points to the laptop. "And we are freezing them based on the audio evidence of false imprisonment recorded in the wine cellar of your residence. That takes it out of family court and puts it squarely into criminal jurisdiction." Logan's mouth opens, but no sound comes out. His bravado evaporates instantly. leaving behind a scared boy in a blazer who realizes the credit card is finally declined. Graham Walters, seeing the ship going down, tries to slide toward the door. He clutches his portfolio to his chest, his eyes fixed on the exit sign. "I believe I need to step outside," Graham mutters, licking his dry lips. "I need to call my counsel. This is a misunderstanding, and I cannot be present for the second investigator steps into his path." He does not touch Graham. He just occupies the space, a solid wall of law enforcement. "You can call your counsel from the station." "Mr. Walters," the investigator says politely, "you are also under investigation. We have questions about your role in drafting fraudulent documents and coaching clients on the concealment of assets. The Bar Association has already been notified." Graham goes pale. He leans against the wall, looking like he might faint. Monica stands up. She closes her laptop with a decisive snap. "We are not done," she announces. "The police will escort us to the offices of Crescent and Weller Notary immediately." Vivian looks up, confusion warring with fear. Why, she whispers, "Because Mr. Carraway's capacity and wishes are going to be placed on the legal record," Monica says. "And any attempt you make to sign that power of attorney is going to happen in front of a court reporter, law enforcement, and a forensic specialist. We are going to finish this," Edmund says, buttoning his jacket, "but we are going to do it by the book." The ride to the notary office is a silent funeral procession. I ride with Edmund and Monica. Vivian, Logan, and Graham are transported in the back of the unmarked police cruisers. We arrive at the offices of Crescent and Weller. It is a high-end firm with mahogany walls and thick carpets that smell of old money. We are ushered into the main conference room. The table is polished wood, long enough to seat 20 people. At the head sits Mr. Weller, the notary. He looks rattled. He has clearly been briefed by the police, but he is trying to maintain a veneer of professional detachment. He clears his throat, shuffling a stack of papers. "We are here for a full power of attorney transfer from Mr. Edmund Carraway to Mrs. Vivian Carraway," he reads aloud, his voice trembling slightly. He reaches for the stamp. "Stop," Monica says. She does not shout. She simply slides a thick file folder across the polished wood. It hits the center of the table with a heavy thud. "Mr. Weller looks at the folder. "This is a forensic report from the State Crime Lab," Monica says, "and this is a court order freezing the assets of the proposed agent." Aiden Cole, the forensic document specialist who met us in the lobby, steps forward. He connects his tablet to the large monitor on the wall. On the screen, a sequence of signatures appears. "These are verified signatures from Edmund Carraway," Aiden explains, pointing to the images: driver's license, passport, tax forms from 1998 through 2024. He swipes the screen. The digital power of attorney file appears, and this is the document submitted to the bank by Mr. Walters. Aiden zooms in. "Notice the stroke sequencing," he says. "In a natural signature, the pen lifts here and here. In the digital file, the line is continuous. It is a trace. The pressure pattern is flat. This was not written by a human hand holding a stylus. It was copied and pasted." Mr. Weller stares at the screen. He looks at Graham Walters, who is staring at his shoes. Edmund stands up. He walks to the head of the table. "Mr. Weller," he says. "Yes, Mr. Carraway." Edmund picks up a pen from the notary's desk. He pulls a blank sheet of paper from the tray. "I would like to provide a current exemplar," Edmund says. He bends over the paper. His hand is steady. He writes his name. Edmund J. Carraway. The loops are crisp. The pressure is strong. He slides the paper toward the notary. "Does that look like the hand of a man who is mentally diminished?" Edmund asks. "Does that look like a man who does not know what year it is, Mr. Weller compares the fresh signature to the digital file. The difference is obvious. The fresh signature has life, variation, and force. The digital one is a dead clone. It does not match, sir." "Mr. Weller whispers. Investigator Marsh steps forward. She places a small digital recorder on the table. "For the record," she says. She presses play. The room fills with the sounds of the penthouse lunch. The judge stamped the dead baby already. That is Logan's voice. Once the trust is in your name, who cares? Then, the seller recording. We will keep her safe until the documents are signed. That is Vivian. If she makes a scene, we will say she threatened us. Mr. Weller goes pale. He pushes the unsigned power of attorney packet away from him as if it is radioactive. I cannot notarize this, he says, his voice shaking. I am filing a notary fraud report immediately. I will not be a party to this. Renee Marsh nods. She reaches into her jacket and pulls out 3 thick envelopes. Vivian Caraway, Logan Caraway, Graham Walters, she says. She slides an envelope to each of them. You are being served with charging documents. The district attorney is filing charges for conspiracy to commit wire fraud, attempted exploitation of an elderly person, and false imprisonment. Vivian stares at the envelope. Her name is typed in bold letters. You will be processed and arraigned tomorrow morning. Marsh continues. Until then, you are released under judicial supervision. You are barred from accessing any trust assets. You are barred from entering the Stonebridge estate. You are barred from contacting Edmund Caraway or Ivy Lawson. Graham puts his head in his hands. He knows his career is over. Vivian looks up. Her eyes are hollow. The fight has finally left her. She looks at the envelope, then at Edmund. I just wanted what was promised. She whispers, You promised to take care of us. I promised to take care of the family. Edmund says, his voice sad but unyielding. I never promised to fund a crime scene. Monica steps forward. She opens a separate leather binder. It is old, the leather cracked with age. The gold lettering on the front reads, Northbridge Heritage Trust, Governance and Succession, with the fraudulent power of attorney legally dead. She says, We are activating the succession clause. She opens the binder. Per a pre-existing board resolution and Edmund Caraway's signed instruction, the current trustee is stepping down effective immediately. The room goes silent. Vivian's head snaps up. Stepping down, she asks, To who? Edmund turns to me. He slides the leather binder across the polished table. On top of it, he places a simple black key card. It is the master access card to the trust's accounts and the Dockside Foundation offices. I look at the card. I look at my grandfather. He is not looking at the lawyers. He is looking at me. Ivy Lawson is my chosen successor, trustee, and administrator. He says, his voice catches, just for a second, then steadies. It is businesslike, but impossibly personal. She builds homes, he says. She does not burn them down on paper. I reach out. My hand trembles slightly, but not from fear. It is the weight of it, the weight of the shipyard workers, the scholarships, the houses that need fixing, the weight of a name that was stolen and is now being returned. I take the pen. I sign the trustee acceptance line. Ivy Lawson. Mr. Weller stamps it. Clack. The sound echoes like a gunshot. It is done. For the first time in 28 years, my legal identity and my blood identity are on the same page. Vivian chokes out a laugh. It is a bitter, wet sound. You are giving her everything she asks. Staring at me with pure loathing. The delivery girl. Edmund looks at his daughter. He looks at the woman who locked his granddaughter in a wine cellar. I am giving the trust back to what it was for. He answers quietly. She just happens to be the one person in this room who remembers that. The police escort them out. I watch them go. Logan does not look back. Vivian is weeping. Graham is already on his phone, calling a criminal defense attorney. Edmund puts his hand on my shoulder. Let's go, he says. We have a lot of work to do. Hours later, the sun has set over Ruston. The city is a grid of lights, stretching out along the dark curve of the river. I step out onto the small balcony off the notary's 15th floor lobby. The air is cold, biting with the promise of snow. I grip the key card in one hand and the leather binder in the other. I look down at the streets. I can see the faint outline of the bridge leading to the shipyard. I can see the blinking lights of the radio tower. I am not thinking about yachts. I am not thinking about the mansion on the hill or the marble floors. I am thinking about blueprints. I am thinking about the rusted lots by the water that have been sitting empty for a decade. I am thinking about the girls growing up in apartments above laundromats. Girls who have no baby photos on the wall. Girls who think they are invisible. They are not invisible. Not anymore. I take a deep breath, filling my lungs with the sharp night air. They locked the pizza girl in the cellar. They didn't see she was the one holding the exit key. No more basements. Not for me. Not for anyone we are building for next. Thank you so much for listening to this story. I would love to know where you are tuning in from. So please drop a comment below and tell me which country or city you are in right now. Let's see how far this story has traveled. If you enjoyed this revenge drama, please make sure to subscribe to the channel Maya Revenge Stories. Hit that like button and smash the hype button to help this video get recommended to more people who love a good serving of justice. The court agreed, she is gone. Dead baby. Mentally diminished. I listened to it twice. The fear that was gripping my throat 5 minutes ago begins to evaporate. It is replaced by something else. Something cold. Something surgical. They think I am a ghost. They think Edmund is senile. They think they have won. I look at the dash cam. I look at the recording file on my screen. Logan was right about one thing. The oven is working. But he forgot one basic rule of cooking. If you turn the heat up too high, you don't just get rich, you get burned. I put the car in gear. I am not going back to Rocket Slice. I have a lot of research to do.